Day 3. Today I wanted to jump to talking about Broadway because I didn't really get to it yesterday. I just wanted to talk about variations on the theme of lifestyle. And because of my own personal history background, it's complicated, but it led to me being exposed to a lot of different ways of living. I spent 2 weeks with my grandmother in Jersey, and I remember I used to think Jersey smelled like skunks because the first time I ever went there, a skunk had let off its thing, and the whole place just smelled bad. And so I just thought that was the smell of the Garden State. And I remember being with my uncle at Six Flags theme park, and his date at the time didn't know Maryland was a state. And I think there was like a rivalry because they made fun of me, my Maryland accent, and especially because I was from Prince George's County, and they were kind of hoity-toity in very expensive neighborhoods, millionaire neighbors, and so I was exposed to Broadway because of this proximity, just the same way I was exposed to all the museums and everything in DC, just proximity, field trips, you go there. So visit Graham, you're going to go see a Broadway show. And I remember, I think it was 1975. I remember my coat, it was like mercurochrome reddish orange, and it had a hood, and it was like fake fur lined. And we went to see Grease on Broadway. And it wasn't, first of all, okay, Sandy was a brunette, and there was a lot of like flipping the bird and a lot of sex, a lot of really rough language. It was before they made the movie. It was coming out of Chicago, and it was about sort of this Polish heritage. It was about adolescent sex. It was raunchy, and I think for this production had already been cleaned up a little bit, but not John Travolta, not those guys. So I just think that's so interesting. And I remember coming back to Graham's house with my relatives, and her going, "What did you do to my granddaughter? What have you shown her?" And it's just hilarious because, I was about, I was about 8 or 9. And that was my first Broadway experience. And also Times Square, it was like it was falling in on itself. Like there were sort of a pizza place, but then like stacks of other things above it that were not very desirable. Like when I think about what it looks like now and remember what it looked like then, it's crazy. And then when I start to really think about the work and how the work was all about taking risks and being edgy, and they may turn it into a movie if you take enough risks. And now it's all owned by Disney, and everything begins as a movie, and then it's transformed. It's just such a different way of being. Like, it's such a different way of existing. It's such a different way to make art. And for me, I think because of my own specific experience, just like anyone else, this informed me about, how I thought things were supposed to happen. And so I started getting ideas even that young, and just always putting on shows or writing scripts in my head, or having characters accompany me places invisibly. So I just wanted to talk about New York. And one of my favorite, I remember that coat, and I remember, it's been a long day. I remember my Uncle Bob introducing me to the pretzel, the pretzel vendor. And I remember it's the first time I ever had a soft pretzel, and it's the first time I ever had mustard on a soft pretzel. So every time I go to New York, I have to find the pretzel person and get a soft pretzel with mustard, because it's just my idea of what New York is based on my first experience, when the Twin Towers still stood, and my Uncle Bob could, give us the history of the Nabisco factory, and everything smelled like a cookie. And being taken to the Hackensack Mall, and then going into New York City, and like surfing these different lifestyles, like I was saying yesterday about going to DuPont Circle. It was such a great time to experience different ways of being. And I think because my parents were divorced, my family kind of exploded. So everybody was like I was being shuttled, and that has its downside, but it has very much an upside as well, which is this exposure to ideas and to people and to just random kindness and how amazing people can be. And how you can just go see theater, and years later I would, I'd go up to New York and cultivate something, or see a reading and produce somebody there. Like, I've been ever since. But just remembering that introduction, and there was no Madame Trousseau's, there was no big bright blinding lights. It was just so, in its own way, modest and competitive and feral, I would say. And I love that. I never want to lose that. And so that's what on my mind today. Okay, have a great one.